Y'all, welcome to the new moon in Aquarius. We're here for our workshop. Yay! It's a little different today. I'm sick and I'm exhausted, and I almost didn't have the life force to film this, but I didn't want to. I don't know. Ever since I set out to do the new moon and full moon workshops, I've never missed one, even though they might fall on a work day or what have you. I still like to stick with it. And I do like to film them on the day of so that I'm in the energy of the lunation. But yeah, part of it is just because every day is as full as the other. So there's not really a lot of extra time to like film ahead of time. So it gets made when it gets made. But I did not want to skip it, and I wanted to stick with it for you guys. So we're going to do probably a faster one. I had to take my mom to her physical therapy appointment earlier, so I haven't really had time today to look at any of the astrology. I had some errands to run and had to go to the grocery store, so it's been a very, very nice, relaxing, sick day for me. Content to create. So I'm trying to make it an early night so I can just chill for the rest of the evening. So I don't have a lot to say about the astrology because I haven't looked at the specific movements going on. I've got my journal here. I love this. It's a day planner / journal, but it's the Magick of I. If you have interest in astrology, like this is one of my favorite purchases of the year for myself. I'm a day planner nerd. I like to write things in an actual book. And then this planner has like spaces to like journal during the new moons and full moons and all kinds of things, all kinds of goodies in this. So I have not had time to get in and read about what's happening today and think about that in that way, through that context. But as is the same through every workshop we've had, all of the channeled messages coming through are really in alignment with the astrology anyway, so I'm just going to trust that. I do notice that recently there has been a surge in clarity and awareness in making connections with our like patterning of things that we seem to cycle through again and again in life. Like, oh, this archetypal character that keeps popping up for me. I finally have put that together with a pattern that played out in my early childhood, and it wasn't the one that I thought it was going to be. Or this is a behavior I do, and it is a result of this trauma response that I had to this, galvanizing situation in, my early childhood, that I never put that together. So it's like, as we're starting to bing, 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 oh my gosh, the light bulbs are going off everywhere. Suddenly we're having so much more clarity, and it's making it so much easier to make this shift and to move forward and to catch ourselves. Okay, when we're triggered, we're like, okay, I'm being triggered. I'm aware of this now. I'm aware, I've practiced enough to know I'm being triggered and catch myself as I'm being triggered. We're feeling ourselves wanting to do the reflex response, running our mouth about it, making an impulsive decision, acting in a, reactive, impulsive, impetuous fashion, whatever it is. It's like we can feel the old muscle memory coming forth and wanting to do that same thing. If you're that anxious attachment style, are you the person that's always wanting to check in or need constant reassurance from someone or constant attention? It's like, pause. Don't do it. Don't send the text this time. Take a chance. Give them an hour to like think about something else and maybe miss you. You know what I mean? So it's like we're seeing the behavior. We're being able to identify the pattern. And now it's about exercising the strength and discipline and willpower. And not only that, to like actually try to do a different thing in the moment, but we don't need to get down on ourselves because that's only one piece of it. The other half is reprogramming the subconscious. It's like we are identifying where the hard drive has viruses. And we can see, oh, okay, we're making the diagnosis now. When my computer is crashing and going slow and acting like this, it's because of this virus on my hard drive. When I am acting in a way that is dysfunctional, I can see that it's because of these specific viruses in my hard drive, these things that are out of my, awareness, or my immediate awareness. Things can also be hiding so deep in the unconscious that they're not even in our awareness yet, but now we know that they're lurking. And now we know that the subconscious and the unconscious are actually most of our driving motivators. It's like when you see an iceberg and think of the Titanic hitting the iceberg. That was only the little tip that we saw. It was just like a mountain of ice underneath the ocean. So the subconscious and the unconscious have so much more power over us than our conscious mind does. Now, it doesn't mean that we need to give up and resign ourselves to despair, because then we're just going to be living in misery. We can proactively change this. We have the power to change this. You can change your subconscious. You just have to do it. You have to reprogram it when you're in an impressionable state, when your brain is mostly in the brain waves of alpha waves. And you need to identify the core wound or the core belief that is causing the negative behavior or the negative reactivity, and then re-witness that, react it in your mind in a way that can give you a different perception, or that like you can get it, if you're getting into a feeling state and you can relive the situation in a way that you'd wish it had gone, that helps. And then you can, because it's like you're letting yourself witness what you need, right? You're just showing up for yourself in that way. It's like you're giving yourself what you needed in that moment. And many times, first, we have to be able to give ourselves the validation, the encouragement, it's like we need to be able to give that to ourselves first. Our brain needs that more than anything. It doesn't matter how many people validate and support us. We will be an empty, insatiable well that is constantly needy to people to validate us. And it will never be satisfying unless we also give that to ourselves, unless we believe that for ourselves. So we're getting into the space now, or we can, see that like, okay, this behavior is not serving me. It's not, resulting in a desirable way. So it's like now getting into the subconscious, reprogramming the subconscious, so you can get in there and you can tell yourself, you can envision something happening and feel the feelings of feeling like you can reimagine it in a better way, in a way that you'd wish it had gone out. But then, like, say your core wound is that you are like inadequate and your needs don't matter, then you need to reimplant, I'm more than adequate and my needs do matter. I'm more than enough and my needs matter. I am enough, my needs matter. And so it has to be when you're impressionable and getting that into the subconscious. So one of the tools, there are meditations on the internet. Mel Robbins just did an interview with Thais Gibson on her channel, and they released a 21-day meditation that helps you reprogram your subconscious as it pertains to attachment styles. But To Be Magnetic actually has a workshop that is dedicated to reprogramming your subconscious in every category of your life. And it is it's backed by psychology and neuroscience. So you're doing the psychological work, you're doing the spiritual work, you're also rewriting the nervous system, and as a benefit, you're becoming more magnetic and you're getting clearer on what you're trying to manifest. So if you are interested in doing their work and having access to their meditative meditations called Deep Imaginings, which that's the practice that rewrites the subconscious, there is a link in my description box below for their membership, and you can use my affiliate link for a 15% off discount, and then that'll give me, probably spare change off of your monthly membership. But it's just one way you can support the channel. Other ways you can support this channel are to like, share this video, subscribe, comment. Any action that you take really helps these videos get out into the algorithm and helps other people find them who need encouraging support as well. Okay, so we are rewriting the subconscious. We're shifting our perspective in major ways. This new moon in Aquarius is planting seeds of this rebirth of self, this reinvention of self, this revolutionizing through the revelation that we've been coming to. And so we're expanding our mind, we're getting a different mindset, and we're starting to think about things differently. We're starting to envision our lives differently. We're starting to expand, what we're interested in and what we see for ourselves. Like maybe you used to think of yourself being, so traditional and having this like kind of small vision for your life. And maybe suddenly something's gotten into you and you're wanting to be more, adventurous and spontaneous, right? So this is about getting a bigger vision on our life and what's possible, and starting to embody that new mindset and being adaptable and flexible to change, and to grow and to expand. And so the seeds that we're planting right now in this new moon, we're going to be growing those for the next 6 months. So check back in 6 months from now when we have our full moon. What is it? What were the seeds that you were planting today? What are the intentions of what you want to be manifesting and growing and see come to fruition over the next few months, particularly about, how you approach your mindset and your perspective of life and how you show up for yourself. And so with that, let's get into the reading. We're going to start with a Celtic cross with my straightforward oracle. This is my custom deck. So right now, in the context of this moment, we've got initiations, and this is part of the journey. So if you find that you have had the universe tease you with almost opportunities that just suddenly just like melted through your fingers, and you're like, wait, what? If you're being tested worse than ever by your triggers, and you're like, I thought I'd done all this work, and now it's like, it feels like I'm just back at square one. Like, when am I ever going to get out of this loop, this locked groove, this broken record? Be where you're at in this moment. There's something in this moment for you to gain from. And this is probably a sign that you're pushing up against the threshold of your next level. And this is like, when we're in school and we go through this material all year, and we have this center of focus, especially when we get to college, and then there's certain lessons that go back and they're repeated upon, and then they're built upon. And so like maybe that the next day you have a pop quiz, and maybe at the end of the week you get a test. And then, maybe a couple of weeks from now, you like revisit part of that lesson, and that lesson gets built upon, and then you're tested again. And then midterms come up. That's a pretty big one. You gotta cram, you gotta work hard for midterms. And then, the material gets, built upon and expanded upon. And then it's time for final exams, right? And so then it's like, whoa, all the stuff that you've been working on, the lessons, they keep coming around again, you're blue in the face. You're like, when am I ever gonna move on from this? And it's like, the universe is just like school for our soul. It's like we're tested a little bit as we're growing, as we're learning. And then when we're in this initiation moment, that's like the bigger test, right? The initiations, that's like midterms and final exam moments, right? And so don't feel like you're in the wrong place. Don't feel like you're behind. It's going to be very tempting to feel like that in this moment, or that you're off, or like, why me? Why does this continue to happen? But just accept that this is part of the journey. There's something in this moment that you are growing through, that you're being initiated, and that there is like a test happening. And, it's anybody's guess as to what is going to be the right answer for your particular soul's progression. Only you know that for sure. But whatever it is right now, don't lose hope. Don't resign yourself to despair. This is not a sign you should give up. This is a sign that you need to be more determined than ever to hold to your certainty, faith, and trust. And that come what may, whether you get the results that you want or not, it's like, it doesn't matter. You're where Creator wants you to be. And that's what matters. And so that's what makes you living within your purpose. That's what makes you successful. Are you where the Creator wants you to be right now? Simple as that, right? So this is part of the journey. Don't worry, you're on the right path. These challenges are meant to grow you. Think of lessons as training exercises. Sometimes we are meant to sit with the uncertainty. This is part of the unfolding. This experience might not have been fated. You might wait, hold on. This experience might have been fated. Now how you meet it will determine your destiny. So I always like to point out that fate is the hand that we're dealt, but destiny is what we choose to do with that hand. Destiny is the timeline that's created according to each decision and choice that we're making in any given moment. So the work that we do on ourselves actually changes tomorrow's script. It's like, oh, rewrite, back in the writer's room. The main character has just improved and grown and did an act of courage or an act of sharing. And so the character has now earned a better plot twist for the next day, right? Instead of the character getting a flat tire tomorrow, the character gets a free sandwich, something like that, you know? Oh, an opportunity that comes, you know, and the opportunity maybe that you think passed you by is maybe hasn't passed you by. Maybe it's not quite over until it's over. So it ain't over till the fat lady sings, as they say. I don't know if we're allowed to say that anymore. I don't know. I've heard both. So it's just an expression. Yeah, so don't give up. Don't give up hope. Oh, also the fact that so when we work on something and we put our genuine heartfelt effort and it's coming from a consciousness of sharing and love, it's not just all for us. It's not just like, what am I getting out of the situation? But there's more to it than that. Then if that situation falls apart and the opportunity doesn't work out, that energy, that love, that intent, those resources that we put into that thing are in a spiritual bank account. And as long as we don't resign ourselves to despair, as long as we don't give up, as long as we don't lose hope or faith, that energy can then roll over into the next thing that Creator brings on your path that's meant for you. What is meant for us cannot pass us by. It can be delayed. It can be not ready yet. But what is ours is ultimately set aside for us, and it's protected, and it will be ready as soon as we are. What is not meant for us, we can will it into being. We can force that to happen, but it will never be fulfilling, and it will never be quite right, and it may not work out in the end anyway, and it will cost us. It will cost us blood, sweat, tears, and money, and energy, and resources, and God knows what else. So be at peace, trust, know that you're just where you're supposed to be, and as long as you're doing everything you can to do your spiritual work, to do your work on yourself and work towards your goals and, you know, be a sharing source of light in the world, and you're making an effort in every way you can, that's all you can do. You have to let the chips fall where they may. And you can't be overly pushing or forcing either when you're making that effort. You have to have a balance, and you have to be able to trust and surrender and let go as well. So what's crossing us right now? Don't be jealous. So if you guys have been following me for a while, we have picked out, starting back in December around Hanukkah, about 3 main spiritual challenges that we are struggling with. And those are challenges that are blocking the manifestations that we want to see come about. It's like, what are your top 3 manifestations that you have right now that you'd like to see progress or fruition in, and you're just not getting where you want to with them? You feel like they're blocked. Now think about, what 3 things do you struggle with in your personality? Are you lazy, or do you overwork? Are you overly people-pleasing? Do you have a temper? You know, are you covetous or jealous, or do you have despair or hostility, right? Which things have lingered with you for a long time that you've been like, oh, this is a common theme in my life? So when you think about those, and in the order of their, whatever they came in intuitively, you can match up. The challenge is blocking, number 1 challenge is blocking number 1 manifestation. Number 2 challenge is blocking number 2 manifestation. Number 3 challenge is blocking number 3 manifestation. So one of my particular challenges was jealousy. But it's usually only triggered specifically when I feel like that thing should have been mine, or I deserve just as much as anyone else and I'm not getting. Like I feel like there's a victim attached, like there's a victim mindset or consciousness attached to that jealousy. I feel like I'm being shorted, or like somebody got something that was supposed to be mine, kind of thing. I'm not usually just randomly jealous, like just because like other people are happy. Like I'm not the person that's like jealous because of that. It usually has to do with a sense of fairness or injustice for me. And that's probably my Libra rising. So I've realized that, okay, when I feel my jealousy coming up, that is blocking me in one of my manifestations. And so I need to work on that. And when I feel it coming up, it's like it's triggered, and you don't really have much control over the fact that you're triggered and it comes up. The only thing that you have control over in that moment is pause. What a pleasure that I'm able to see this and work on it right now. Why is this in my movie? What is this coming up to show me? Is this jealousy highlighting a boundary that I need to set? Is this highlighting something in me that I am putting in my shadow that I'm not letting myself explore and include in my life? Is this highlighting some piece of potential that I wish that I had, that I am tapping into in myself? Because usually when you see something that makes you jealous, it's showing you something that you're capable of, or that you really resonate with, that there's part of that in you that you can have. And it's showing you that it's something you want, but it's in an unhealthy way. So really unraveling and focusing in on the jealousy is part of the initiation. It's like, okay, what is up your crawl right now? What is like tormenting you and triggering you? It's doing it so that you can finally heal or see what the jealousy is trying to teach you or show you about yourself, so that you can correct or work on that thing or grow it or expand it or heal it, so that your manifestations can come through. I don't feel good. All right, what is our subconscious influence that's affecting us right now? Boredom is causing stagnation. So yeah, in Kabbalah, we learn that as far as the cycles of evolution go, we are stable until that stagnates, and then everything's sort of shaken up again for disruption, so that the pressure can evolve us. And the discomfort is like, it causes us to have the need or necessity or desire to leave that comfort zone and reach for more. So something is causing us to be complacent and lazy, blasé. We're feeling void. And I'm almost thinking that it could be hints of burnout, because we did get Page of Cups today in our daily reading, warning us that we have been ungrounded. And it's like, okay, so we're being avoidant. And when you have an avoidant personality, like an avoidant attachment style, it doesn't just cause other people to be avoidant with you, but you're also avoidant with yourself. And you can be inconsistent with yourself, right? Because you were demonstrated inconsistent emotional support and security growing up. Like it was erratic. It was all over the place. Like sometimes it was there, sometimes it wasn't. So you were never sure of when your needs were going to be met, when your emotional needs were going to be met, if it was even safe to have them, right? So you learn to be very self-sufficient, and you learn to not rely on anybody else for meeting your needs because it's not safe. You know, you'll be disappointed or left out in the cold, or you'll be too inconvenient or whatever. Or, you know, and then you'll long for it. You'll long for the support, you know, and so then it's like you get anxious about it. So then you like end up going back and forth, back and forth. So this inner, like deep, distant childhood wound has caused us this avoidance. And sometimes, in addition to having to like just satiate our own needs and not, you know, have them met, not being very uncomfortable to have anyone else show us that support, there is also I lost my train of thought. Oh, you learn to do without. And so you avoid needing. You avoid yourself. You avoid your own needs. And so what we're craving is in the first place for us to turn around and face ourselves and listen, what is our needs? How can I be consistent with myself in my routines, in my promises to myself, in my dreams, in my goals, my desires? Am I showing up? Am I being consistent? Or am I avoiding what needs to get done to push the needle forward because my inner child is acting out, right? Is our inner child driving the ship of our subconscious? And that's basically what's happening right now. It's like that wounded inner child is causing us to be erratic, impetuous, inconsistent. And because of that, it's like, oh, we need so much more new stimulus. I'm bored so easily, right? Like the inner child is bored easily, right? They need something to constantly like stimulate them. And so what we need to do is we need to sit with stillness without it being boredom. And we also need to shake up our efforts and our energy and our routines a little bit and get out of our comfort zone, do something different, but push yourself beyond where you're at now, because the amount of effort that you're putting in, the amount of passion and vigor and energy, like our enthusiasm is the magic juice that gets whatever we're trying to do going. So if we're just like burnout, blasé, going through the motions, it's like our efforts are going to be kind of less and less effective. It's like the zeitgeist isn't going to pick up on it because there's no energetic buzz around it. So, getting that enthusiasm back again, shaking up that energy. So the amount of effort is not enough. It needs to be increased. The amount of intention, maybe you've just like started resting on your laurels, or just like you're in your comfort zone, or you've been repeating the same strategy for a long time, thinking that you just need to do it more, or, that it's going to suddenly create results that you want. But maybe you need to switch it up, because whatever it is, there's stagnancy. So we need movement, we need circulation. All right. So this is an influence from the past that is starting to clear up, but it's still having a little bit of effect on us. Your limiting beliefs are the issue. So our limiting beliefs are probably sabotaging us from going any further than what we're already doing. Think about this. Okay. So if I am going to monetize my channel, then the first stage of monetization allows for people to pay $4 a month to have a membership, to have their own special content. Well, my limiting beliefs paired with my stagnation is like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to make more content, and it's like, I'm barely getting any, traction as it is, right? It's like that mentality, that limiting belief could be like preventing me from putting the full effort in. It's like, oh, I'm capable of making more content. I just need to get my, schedule more honed in and more refined. So, maybe you're just limiting yourself because of this wounded inner child. But maybe if you reparent yourself, you give yourself enough of a work-life balance, you nurture yourself the ways that you need to be nurtured, you can actually find that when you have energy and you give yourself a chance, you're capable of so much more than you thought. And I think that's really coming up recently as part of this like Aquarian clarity we're getting, is like, oh my gosh, like I've come so far and I have, been able to change and grow so much and transform so much. And now it's like, wow, everything is so much easier and so much easier to see, so much more clear. Sorry. People keep calling me right now. Okay, what's crowning us? What is crowning us? Signs and synchronicities. So watch for signs and synchronicities to come up. Be patient was also out. Your divine guidance will lead you. It will show you the way. Don't be overly obsessive about it, because then we can make things signs when we're not, or we can be obsessive and like misinterpret them or read too much into everything. But just be on the lookout for synchronicities that might be leading you in the right direction. Don't get discouraged though if they seem to lead to a closed door. An example is recently there was a specific venue that I wanted to reach out to see if they wanted a live tarot reader for special events. I had been thinking about it. I was going to manifest it. And then lo and behold, my sister and her friends were in that same space one evening, and they happened to suggest that they asked, like, hey, would you guys want a tarot reader? Like, we know somebody, blah, blah, blah. And so they told them about me, and they're like, oh yeah, we've actually been thinking about that. We've been, considering that. So there's like a Palentine's night coming up, like a pre-Valentine's kind of thing. And they DM'd me on Instagram. I didn't even have to reach out yet. And they asked me if I'd be interested in it. And then I didn't see the message for like a day or so. And I got back to them as soon as I saw it. I was like, yeah, absolutely. I've been meaning to reach out to you. And, here's my number. I'm off this next day if you want to talk logistics or whatever. I never heard back. And I'm like, what's going on? And maybe they just decided not to have that for the evening. And so I wait like 9 days or so. And I follow up. I'm like, hey, just following up on that. Did you guys still want to talk about having me come read tarot? So still nothing for a few days. And I see on Instagram, they've been advertising their big Valentine's week. And like, they're having a live tarot reader. They've got a flyer for it, but they didn't say who it was. And I still never heard back. So I'm like, I'm assuming it's not me because they would have confirmed. But like also in my production days, I would have the flakiest production companies give me a very loose, flimsy like booking. And then all of a sudden, like the day before, they're like, yeah, here's the call sheet. And you're like, was that confirmed? Like, so that's that. But then there's also like, well, they might have just booked somebody else. But then I'm like, how many people were like up for this opportunity? How many people knew about this? Like, there's not that many of us around here that are in this kind of vein that would be in the same aesthetic as this specific place has this specific aesthetic. I'm literally the perfect candidate to do this. And so I'm like, part of me is like, okay, great. The signs and synchronicities were all there. This is a done deal, right? They reached out to me. Like, I didn't even have to reach out to them. I've been meaning to. And then it's all like, whatever it is right now. And I'm like, I don't want to give up. I don't want to resign myself to despair. But there's a part of me that can feel very like, oh, this isn't fair. Or why am I getting rejected? It's just same as actors and like same as when I was in production. It's like gig work, right? You have to get used to rejection and you can't take it personally because it will wear you down and you can't let it wear you down. There might be a million factors involved, right? This happened too. Recently, there was another event. Someone was going to have like a reopening for their weed shop and they happened to be like a crystally, like girly weed shop. And I was like, hey, do you guys want to have a tarot reader for your grand opening? And they never got back to me, but then they had a tarot reader at their grand opening. I was just like, are these people like, am I just like catching on the vibe? And then I'm like, they've already made the plans or like what is that? Or am I just giving them a great idea? And they're like, hey, Joe Schmo over there, I'm already friends with, like you do it. I'm like, what's happening? So there's a part of me that can get very bent out of shape about this and feel like, am I just not, is it my account's too small? Like I don't look flashy enough or successful enough. Like, what is it? And it's like, don't. The synchronicities are there going, yes, there is promise. There is big things for you in this direction, but keep trying, right? Just because you get a door slammed in your face, you need to be persistent and you need to be loving getting that door slammed in your face. Rotating door, slam it in my face. Keep on slamming. Never gonna give up, right? Keep at it. Keep on. Watch the synchronicities. Be patient, right? Don't be too controlling. Don't read too much into, if an opportunity slides through your hands. It's not the end of the world. It's just part of being alive, being in the game. Everyone who's successful has competitors, and everyone who puts themselves out in that field is like amongst titans, right? Whatever your particular field of business is in, even in dating world, it's like other people are out there, other people are attractive, other people have personalities, and we have to accept the fact that these people are going to be around the people that we're dating. And it's like, you can't be insecure and jealous. You've got to be secure, confident, right? and have a mindset of prosperity and abundance. That's what's coming up around the corner, what we don't see coming. We have to hold faith. We have to be patient. Prosperity and abundance are going to be ours, but not until we adopt a consciousness of prosperity and abundance. And then we take aligned action to create that for ourselves, right? We can't have prosperity and abundance if if we ignore our bank account, if we don't make an effort to make bread, to make money. It takes effort. You got to learn how to manage money. You have to learn how to make money. You have to learn how to shop in a way that's prudent and frugal, right? So there's skills that come with prosperity and abundance, and you have to take aligned action with those. So that is coming around the corner. But if you're bored and your energy is gone flat and you're flatlining and your limiting beliefs are holding you back, then you're never going to start putting yourself out there and investing in yourself in ways that are going to lead to that long-term prosperity and abundance. It's like investing. It's hard. It's overwhelming. It's confusing. And, not everybody has hundreds and thousands of dollars to start with, but you just start small and you learn as you go and you get better at it. And then you make bigger moves when you start to get your feet wet and you understand more. But, if you're overwhelmed, you'll never get started. Right? And it takes time and practice and consistency and time and compounding interest, right? To gain profits. So stick with it and focus on building your abundant mindset, because jealousy is coming from a place of scarcity. Like you're not enough, or that there's not enough to go around. And so we need to be patient with ourselves, be focused on healing that scarcity mindset that is blocking our abundance, that's feeding into those limiting beliefs, and that is triggering our jealousy. Creation phase 1. So our perspective or perception that's kind of affecting our situation right now, and many times the 7th card position can be a negative perception that's affecting you negatively or holding you back. And a lot of times if it's a positive card, it's like you're having a hard time believing in this positivity. Well, creation phase 1, being in the position of this card, is saying that we have a passive desire right now where we need to get more fire under our ass and make more of an effort, right? We need to stop spinning our wheels and doing busy work. We need to actually just stop procrastinating, stop hesitating, and just get in it and take the actions, get them off our plate and be done with it. But creation phase 1 is not an active desire. Creation phase 1, an active desire is when you're really fired up, you're gung-ho, you're in the honeymoon phase, you're making an effort, you're burning the wick at both ends, you're burning the midnight oil. Creation phase 1 is a passive desire, which is you get an idea and you're like, oh, that'd be nice, but you're not really following through on it fully. Think of a passive desire like this. Have you ever been somewhere, I don't know, in a meet and greet situation or an orientation, and you're carrying a bag and you've got your bag, everyone's standing around, you're about to walk around and see something, and they're handing out waters. And they're like, here, have a water. And everybody's got their water and you're not really thirsty. You're just like, this is nice, but I've got this water to carry around. I'm just like, I don't really want it, whatever. That is a passive desire. And so the thing that's affecting us right now from getting into really fully jumping onto that next timeline, really being in our next level, is just the limiting beliefs that are holding us back and keeping us in this kind of passive desire. And so it's this is probably tied to a sense of deservingness. And so if we don't feel deserving and worthy, it's sort of well, what's the point? It's not going to happen anyway. It's why even get excited? Why even make an effort? It's nobody who's even going to care. Nobody's going to like it. Everybody's going to hate me anyway. No one's going to invite me. Why? Why do I even care? Why do I even buy outfits? No one's going to invite me to go anywhere. It's get over this. Get out of this hump and get on with it. It's bootstrap yourself on. Keep calm. Carry on. But there's a part of us that just kind of needs to snap out of it and get a move on. Springtime is coming, and people have been talking about all the planets being in retrograde for the next 6 months or so, or not all the planets being in retrograde, all the planets are direct for like 6 months. So it's like, now's the time to be doing the things that we need to be doing. And I'm feeling this too. I feel like all of January, I feel like I've done as much as I can. I feel like I'm not doing nearly enough. Like I'm feeling like stalled and thwarted and everything. So just put that energy into grounded action, not depressed overwhelm avoidance. Okay. Other people's actions or other people's influence on you. What is this? Creation phase 3. Oh, okay, this is perfect. So creation phase 2 is when we've gotten, okay, so now we've been sitting with our passive desire. You know what? This could actually be a really good thing. I'm going to go after this. I'm going to do it. Creation phase 2 is the montage in the movie where the character is like eating a carrot and studying for the final exams and working out all at the same time. And they're like really, going for it, like Elle Woods in Legally Blonde. Or like The Mirror Has Two Faces, when like Barbara Streisand is like she's going to get in shape and she's going to be a sexy woman from now on. There was that movie, I think it was called Run Fat Boy Run, where Simon Pegg is like, he's a lazy like mall cop, like security guard, and he's just like phoning it in through his whole life. And he is like suddenly stricken with some jealousy because his ex is like about to marry the successful marathon runner. And he's like, realizes, he's like, oh my God, I fucked it up with the person that like is so marvelous and irreplaceable. And all because like I was just passive, because of my own passive desire, because of my unwillingness to commit and devote to myself and to everybody else and to put my full heart and soul into my life. And so then he decides to run this marathon and he's going to do it too. And so he starts training and he's in no shape. He can't do anything. And it's so hard for him, but he finishes the marathon. And the guy who was the hot guy who runs marathons, I think like got injured or something, and he sprung an ankle and he was like, oh, I can't continue, and he gave up. But Simon Pegg, I think, like hurt his foot really bad and like was gonna die, could barely make it, but he finished the marathon. And so because he finished the marathon, he gets the girl at the end. Yay! So creation phase 3 though is like, whoa, slow down. Creation phase 3 comes in and says, you know what if you run this marathon and you break your leg and you crawl across the finish line, like diarrhea, shitting yourself, bleeding, guts hanging out. You go above and beyond and you against all odds, you make it and you finish your marathon. And what's his face gave up. And, you see, the long lost love coming and running and you're like, they're coming to me. They run right past you, back to old what's his face, who, no big deal. And you're just like, what? So creation phase 3 is the initiation. It's how much is this thing really worth to you? It's how strong have you built your faith and certainty at this point? How deep is your self-worth? In the face of failure, are you going to give up on yourself? Are you going to tell yourself that you're a loser and that you're worthless and that who will ever want you now? Or are you going to maintain your worth and your strength and your determination and you're going to keep going no matter what? Because creation phase 3 is when you are so tired, you are so blue in the face, you've done everything you can, you've put yourself out on the line, you faced your fear, you broke the addiction, you left the bad, toxic person, you told the person how you really felt, you set the boundary, you did the new moon workshop, even though you're really sick and you've had a long and difficult day and you don't feel like it and your nose was running the whole time you're in this, like my nose was like running into my face mask in the store. I was just like I did not feel like doing this. Do it anyway. No guarantees that this will pay off. Even in the face of absolute oblivion, even if you never, like for instance, if this channel never gets monetized, will I keep going? Or is it something that I feel the need to keep doing anyway? Is it a calling for me? Do I have purpose in this? Is it more about the importance of sharing than what I get out of this, right? So when you think about this thing that you are so like exhausted with at the moment, and you're like, am I gonna fail? Should I just give up? If this thing never worked out in your perfect vision of what you think it should be or the potential that it could be, would you still give yourself to this because there's something about it that gives you a sense of sharing, that gives you a sense of purpose, that there's some kind of calling there? Is it worth continuing and keeping on? And even in the face of certain failure, will you keep going? That's the initiation. So creation phase 4, there's creation 1, 2, 3, and 4. Creation phase 4 is the fruition of the fulfillment of the manifestation. You can get your manifestation and still not have fulfillment, right? It's like when famous people talk about how when they became successful actors, like it didn't make them happy. It didn't solve that sense of insecurity inside. It didn't quench their loneliness. It didn't quench their yearning for something deeper and more meaningful. It didn't make them feel loved or validated. Just the opposite. It made them feel even more isolated and more empty. Or, sometimes that's the case. So the creation phase 4 is when you get the manifestation, but there's actually fulfillment in it. And then in order to stay in the fulfillment of creation phase 4, you got to make best friends with creation phase 3. When you are tired, when the sparkle is over, when the novelty is over, and you're still willing to make an effort. Perfect example is in a relationship. When the honeymoon phase is over, this is why people divorce so often now. I mean, not only are they too impulsive in like just settling and jumping in with whoever and not really considering their compatibility or like their values, but one reason is because we don't know that it's not going to be perfect forever. On some degree we do, but we've been fed these like chick flick fairy tales about how, when it's right, you're happy forever. It's like, no, you have to make an effort in a relationship forever. You have to maintain yourself. You have to maintain your own independence in your own life. You have to maintain the ability to be interdependent and not avoidant, not codependent. You have to know relationship skills. You have to work on communication skills. You have to work on attraction skills. You have to keep your intimacy alive. Like there's a lot of effort to maintain happiness in a relationship. To maintain the fulfillment of creation phase 4, you have to be comfortable with creation phase 3, with continuing to make an effort, even when the glamour and the glory is gone, because that's the only way to stay in the fulfillment. The fulfillment is knowing that the journey is the thing. It's not the finish line. If you're miserable the whole way there, burnout, like tapped to your freaking bottom, then the finish line isn't going to feel good either. You're going to be like, well, I'm here, So it's all about your involvement and your passion for being in the work, in the process, in the effort, right? So you better choose things that you love making an effort toward, that you at least see the value of it so deeply and so clearly that it's unquestionable about whether or not you're going to make an effort in this, in this department. So let's see. I'm giving myself all to this, giving a big vessel. The opponent comes to fight you. Challenge comes. Challenge, ego pushback. Go back to the illusion, go back to the false senses of security, go back to the fantasy of potential. When we try to take things from potential to reality, sometimes we can get lost in the potential because, the potential is so seductive. There's so much possibility. We can imagine it in a perfected state. But, it's like when you fantasize after the object of your affection, right? But once you get into a relationship with them and you start to build intimacy, the fantasy it dwindles away and you see through this illusion and you see the truth of the real person, right? And you have to accept that truth, or, you're being asked to. And if you don't, relationship goes downhill, right? So it's like, in creation phase 3, there's the temptation to just go back to the illusion, go back to, exploring better options or the grass is always greener kind of attitude. Challenge provokes you to reignite your original desire. So sometimes when we don't have what we want and all of a sudden it's like even more is taken away, it creates an even deeper desire and an even deeper determination, right? If you're constantly satiated and you're dating all the time, you may not have a desire to find a real sustaining, long-term commitment or relationship, right? Because you're always just a little bit satiated. But it's when we go through a period where we lack real intimacy for a long time that we realize how much we value and want that. And what it costs with the sacrifice is you can't have casual intimacies with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. You need to go deep with one person. Okay, so the challenge provokes you to reignite your original desire. The light of success is coming. Healing, working on relationships, self-esteem. Feeling the lack activates the desire and the determination. Keep going even though it will look like it's not going to happen. That's the key. It's like keep going even though it looks like it's not going to happen. Regardless of whether or not that gig comes through or falls through, or if it's gone to somebody else, it's like keep making an effort, right? Because the bigger picture is that is a good career direction, to be going in. All right, so the next card represents our hopes and fears. This is a practical issue to overcome. It is what it is. This is a surface level issue, mundane tasks, face value, a physical world issue. No need to look further or read into this. So I think what this is because the whole thing has been setting us up for this is our limiting beliefs. There's boredom subconsciously that's creating, stagnation for us and it's holding us back. And so I think what it is that this is not hidden to us anymore. This has become very clear about what it is in our habits and patterns and our mindsets and in our consciousness and literally in our routines that need to change. And we probably know, a few very actionable, practical steps that we need to take, but we might be avoiding them or procrastinating because of that old childhood programming. So as we're unraveling all that, we need to be taking action. And we need to be getting practical and grounded because at this point, it seems to me that it's physical, literal, step-by-step, action plan, taking action on the plan. Okay, and then our final outcome, our probable outcome, if we take this advice, is show your support. So sharing, emotional support, inspire, motivate, acts of kindness, do what you can to help, and reach out. So many times it's acts of sharing, of giving, of what we're putting out there that generate opportunities and blessing that come back, right? We're channels of energy and we're either vibrating with an energy or we're not, and that's coming and going as well. So, the answer to jealousy is not to close off and to keep and to hold and to take, but to give and to share support. If you're seeing a couple and you're lonely and you want to be in a couple and they're like, oh my God, we just got engaged, tell them congratulations, wish them well, bless them, right? When you can give, even from a place of feeling like you still haven't received what you want, but you can still wish the best for others, but you can still share without thinking, what am I getting in return? It's like giving from a sense of sharing is so powerful. Like when we do this work for inner transformation, if we do it so that we're actually adding to the light in the world and we're also making the world a better place by us becoming better people so that we can be better to others, not just, oh, how can I alleviate my own suffering, but how can I not be an asshole anymore? That's sharing, right? That's an act of sharing. So, show your support. Try to, when you feel jealous, when you feel these triggers coming up, think about a way that you can share your light with others. Can you build someone up? Can you give them a good idea to help them find success in what they're trying to do? Can you give them a like on their content, right? If there's an account that's like growing faster than me, it's not going to help me to not like their account, right? Like, share, support, because that's the way that accounts grow. Okay, so now let's pull a few cards from tarot to get a little bit of clarity, tie this all together. So, in the new moon energy, this is like the seed level energy of the whole month. So it's, we need to be taking action over the next 2 weeks during the waxing period, but this is really energy that influences the whole month. Oh, I love this. The world. So, but I was holding it upside down. So I think we need to take into account that there are lessons. So the world is like, okay, we're at the end of a huge cycle of learning, and we have come this far and we've completed something, finally a cycle of soul lessons, and now we can move forward in any direction. But looking at this reversed, there's some aspect where we're not taking the lesson and embodying it. We're not taking it from the consciousness and making it practical yet. There's something that we're still not, like, we're refusing to see, or we're not fully like taking action to start embodying the wisdom that we've taken from that yet. So, this is the end of the big cycle, the beginning of a new one. We're jumping onto this timeline and we're leaving the past behind. But before we do that, we need to make sure that we're not bypassing over something, or that we're not skimming over this. Like, we need to actually start taking action, because if boredom is causing stagnation, paired with this card, that's like, hey, you're refusing to see something clearly and to take the lesson and to do something with it. So, just maybe, ask for spirit to guide you and make you aware of what exactly that thing is. We do have 8 of Cups in reverse. So 8 of Cups upright is moving on to something towards something more meaningful. And 8 of Cups reverse is like, we want to be moving on towards something more meaningful, but something is holding us back from fully moving forward. So really, like, cord cutting and releasing, but something is keeping us from moving towards something that we will find deeply fulfilling and more meaningful. So it's like, what is it? What are we refusing to see? Just making sure my deck wasn't all upside down. Okay, what else do we need to know? Ooh, strength. Again, this is the strength to tap into that, our untapped resources, tap into our hidden depths, to like have the persistence and the determination to keep going, even in the face of uncertainty, even when it looks like it's not going to happen. It's like, can you continue to be strong and continue on without forcing, without manipulating, without being aggressive? Can you be assertive without being aggressive? Can you be pleasantly persistent and determined? Can you be patient? Can you be enduring? Can you be strong enough to take feedback and criticism and then use that and make tweaks and changes? Are you strong enough to be happy for others even when you don't have that thing yet? So, this kind of strength is gentle strength. It's not pushy. It's not that soldier strength. It's not overly domineering. It's the feminine strength of and when we have that feminine strength and we're sharing and we find inner peace and joy, the Sheena is with us. That's the Holy Spirit. That's the light of the Creator that surrounds us in protective light, but also draws favor and blessing and abundance upon us too. And where we're not in peace and where we're not in joy, the Sheena cannot be with us, because the Sheena has complete resonance with peace, with prosperity, with being nurtured and provided for, with joy. And so if we're not having affinity with that essence of the light, then we're not going to be able to connect with it. So 4 of Swords reversed. We've got to take a break. Myself included. I am literally like, I have to cook after this. I'm like, I don't want to cook. Somebody else do it. Somebody else come cook my spaghetti sauce, do all the chopping, and then do my dishes, because I'm sick. I'm a sick baby, and I'm tired, and I'm sleepy times and hungies. But yeah, we need to like give it a rest. So we need to like just chill put our worries aside, heal, quit picking at the scabs, and let the healing take root, take its embodiment, and start moving forward. Be healed. Like, what if Jesus had been like, blind man, see, and he was like, and he still kept like identifying as a blind man who can't see, right? I'm a blind person. I've been a blind person all my life. I'm disabled. Whatever. It's like, when we have a different mindset, we have habitual tendencies to go back into the same thought patterns, right? So it takes some guidance on our part and some discipline and practice to turn ourselves in a new direction, right? Particularly if you're triggered by, jealousy about a certain person or situation. It's like, you can still keep going into that thought, that thinking, and those feelings, and feeding into them and feeding into that soap opera. But eventually, it's like, it's only going to be different when we start to be different. So we have to interrupt those patterns and choose differently. Pray for Holy Spirit to help us see this differently. Please, I am willing for you to come in and work on me and help me see this through the eyes of agape love that's fair to all parties involved, right? So giving yourself time out, but also in increments. Don't get yourself so burnt out that you become avoidant and stagnant and lazy because you're in chronic procrastination and you're rebelling against the small things that need to get done. Don't take too much time off and miss an opportunity. Don't lose your momentum, right? But definitely strike a balance here. But there's something about, like, you need a mental rest from the anxiety and from the emotional and thought loops, but we also need to find the energy to take practical steps to move forward in a new direction, because there's a lot that needs to get done. We can't keep circling around like the issues of the past that are draining us of the resources and our enthusiasm. Okay, from our Moonology deck, what do we need to know for this lunation? Ooh, you're very close to achieving your goal. Oh my God, thank goodness. So we're all in creation phase 3 here. We all want to burn the motherfucker down. But don't, because we're very close. We're very close. So hold on, hope. I mean, look at that big, almost full moon. This is almost there. We're almost to the full fruition of this. So this is just a test. This is an initiation. Be patient. We're right where we need to be. And right where we need to be is being triggered and looking right into those triggers and healing them. Okay. What is this? 2 of Wands. This is taking the initiative. This is saying that prayer to bring you on, to get you to that next step over the hump. Taking the next steps, bold and ambitious choices, partnering with others who share your dreams, expanding your plans, continue to move forward. So like-minded individuals will start resonating with us, but we need to get that vibration clear. So by doing all of this inner work, we will repel potential collaborators if we're holding these bitter feelings of jealousy in our energy field, right? It's blocking, right? So there's so many things here, or not so many, but there's a few specific things here that we need to look at. But I think that as we continue to make these choices, keep doing the healing, keep moving forward, we're going to start attracting more collaborators, more people who are interested in what we're doing, more people who see the value. Okay, so we're going to do manifestation first. Let's get 4 cards on what we need to know for the next few weeks for our manifestation. So making a decision. Feeling stuck or indecisive. That's also this. It's like boredom and stagnation. It's like 4 of Cups. You're not seeing the opportunity because you're so focused on like your displeasure. So feeling stuck or indecisive, listen to your intuition and make a decision, right? So we need to just decide within ourselves to make a decision and move forward. Okay. The 2 of Swords has come up twice this week about indecisiveness and inner conflicting desires. Part of this inner conflicting desire is feelings of worthiness. So we're not feeling worthy enough. So we need to work on self-worth, right? Connected to that lack mentality, that's also connected to the victim mentality that would cause us to feel jealous, right? So worthiness. Know that you deserve to receive good in all ways. So you can't, even if you are open and your vessel is prepared and you are ready to go, you're ready to receive, you're ready to make bold moves, if you don't feel worthy of it, it will bounce right off of you. You'll turn it away. You will, you'll sabotage it. Just last week, I had a client who was so pleased with her reading that she wanted to give me like a $500 coupon in her, like in her and her partner's like amazing, like designer fashion store of denim. And I was like, I couldn't possibly accept this. I was like, this is hard for me to accept. She's like, you need to receive. And I'm like, I know, I've literally been told by the universe that I need to receive, right? So I was like, I'll receive this. I'm worthy of receiving this. But I almost would have turned away bell bottoms that I've been trying to manifest, that the universe was like, here, you're worthy of these. We're giving these to you. And I'm like, no, I can't. I'm not worthy. So that's how fast you can fuck yourself over. When the universe is like, here's this opportunity. And you're like, oh, I'm going to tweak my resume 700 more times to get that wording exactly right. Or else, oh, how could I possibly compete? And it's like, if you'd gotten in early and made the earliest impression, you might have been the most memorable person to them. Positive energy. Surround yourself with positive people and situations and avoid negativity. Over and over and over again, common thought and study points to the fact that we start to become the 5 people that we're around the most, that we have the most closest proximity with. So think about who you're surrounding yourself with. Many times we don't have much of a choice. Like if we're at work, we're surrounded by whoever we're surrounded by. So, it becomes like up to us to curate how much time and like how we can take space away from people when they're being negative, right? Where are we sitting at lunch? If people are standing around talking about negativity, is this part of the meeting? Can you walk away? Like, you don't have to sit here and listen to that. When people have very limiting beliefs about what they can do and what they're capable of with their money. And so when you hear people that have like very low, small vision, it doesn't inspire you to think about ideas of what you could make happen. Whereas you get around a few people who have expanded perspectives about what's possible, they start giving you great ideas about things that you hadn't thought of yet. And you're like, wow, so expanding. So when it comes to money, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to your, motivation, your lifestyle, who are you around? Who is influencing you? And, we can do so much to find physical people to put around us. Sometimes we are not around the kind of mentors that we would like to seek out for ourselves. So you can find those online. I do. I have so many coaches. I have coaches for every major category of my life because I want to be constantly taking in encouraging wisdom that tells me how to be successful, that tells me how to be healthy, that tells me how to have healthy relationship to myself and others, right? I want to be more motivated. I want to be more productive. I want to be better at certain skills, right? So I am, all about getting out there and surrounding myself with the kind of voices that are telling me that not only is it possible, but it's totally doable. And here are the steps to get there. And they give me an example and a motivation. So surrounding yourself with positive people, not negative Nancy's. And then self-forgiveness, right? This is part of that worthiness. It's like, if you can't forgive yourself for mistakes or moments where you were a little awkward or could have done something better, or, oh man, I wish I had not sent that text, or I wish I'd been the person to leave them, and really set that boundary, like if you were ever in an abusive relationship and you knew that Creator was wanting you to have the boldness to leave, and you were too scared, you thought you couldn't hack it out there on your own or something, and then before you got to, like, that person broke up with you, and maybe the universe was like, you can't take anymore, you need out of this, but deep down, and you're like, man, I wish I would have done it, It's like, let it go, forgive yourself, stop carrying around guilt. Guilt and shame gets held in your sacral chakra. And this is where your creativity gestates and where you are impregnated with ideas and potential. And that, if it's tainted there, then you're not even getting to the point where you're giving birth, and then that's getting blocked, right? Your creativity is blocked, your enthusiasm is blocked, your abundance is blocked. When you have shame and when you have blockages in your sacral chakra, you might also be blocked in the area of your soulmate. The sacral chakra is where spirit has all the storehouse of what's set aside for you, where it comes through into the physical realm and it is birthed into the physical. So letting go of guilt, remember that you're God's perfect child, remembering that you are in initiations and that you're meant to be where you're supposed to be, and that there's a certain fate that is dealt to you that you can't change. But the way that you show up to each one of those moments makes the difference in who you will become. We read our natal chart not to see where we're fated to end up and we're resigned to this. We look at our natal chart so we can study, okay, these are our blind spots. These are our weak spots here. These are my strengths. Where can I use my strengths and purpose in the world? Where can I look at my blind spots with more intention and consciousness? And where can I strengthen my weaknesses and grow these things? You know, if your natal chart says that you're never going to have kids, that's not a done deal. You can make choices in your fate that shape your destiny, that shift your destiny. Every day, the choices that we make affect the script that gets written for tomorrow. So in the moment, what we're presented might be our fate, but it's wrapped up in our destiny. Our destiny is what we're creating. So make conscious choices, but also part of those choices are to forgive yourself, right? And see yourself as deserving, because you can't feel worthy and deserving if you're harboring unforgiveness and resentment towards yourself. It's the same as harboring hostility and resentment against someone else. It's going to be a block either way. All right. Let's take a look at our love lives. What do we need to know? Oh my gosh, the honeymoon phase. So literally, this is tying into the manifestations all the way around. Even if you're single and you're like, I'm not with anyone, I'm not in a honeymoon phase. Maybe sometimes you feel really motivated to go out and meet people. And then other times you're just like, where do I even go to meet people? What am I going to go to the farmer's market? And then like, oh, suddenly today is the day that I'm going to run into someone. Or, oh, I'm just going to go out for a drink tonight. There's going to be like randomly someone there that I'm going to meet. You know, you get tired. You know, you're just like, oh, another dating app. Like, oh, I've got to talk to this person and like make the same small talk again. And it loses its excitement, right? But you got to stay in that enthusiasm. You have to stay in that fun with it. You have to stay and keep maintaining the effort, right? If you want to be in the honeymoon phase, you're in phase 3 forever. You're in make an effort phase, because there's only a short period of time with anything that the honeymoon phase is natural, right? Amateurs wait for inspiration, but pros show up no matter what. So free yourself. It's time to take back control of your life. So what are you giving your power away to? Are you obsessing over something? Are you people pleasing? Are you, just going through the motions and letting the winds blow you to and fro? Are you paying attention? Are you hung up on the past, right? This is a romance message. And recently, we've had cards and messages coming up about cord cutting and about releasing our ex. In fact, go watch was it yesterday's romance oracle reading. It's all about releasing our past, releasing our ex, and making space to move forward into new cycles, into new experiences, explore new options. Because what is gone and done needs to be finished. It's not in resonance with who we are now. Who we've been becoming and transforming and transmuting into has been so drastically changing that unless your partner is also going through this in their own way and changing alongside of you, you're growing together, then chances are you've been growing apart. So, if there is someone in your past that you have these like idealized memories about, and you're nostalgic about them, and you're not over them, and you're not moving on, just know that the odds that you would even be in alignment with them are slim. In fact, if you were in alignment with them, you'd be together in this pin, very happy. Do little happy unicorns. So free yourself, right? It's not in alignment. What's not in alignment, let it go. Be open to something that's going to be so much more fulfilling, and that's going to be in alignment with this new person, this grown, evolved version of yourself. Free yourself to explore, options that are equally yoked with you. Someone that you can stand shoulder to shoulder with interdependence, who's going to have a equal reciprocity. All right, what else do we need to know about our love lives this month? Forgiving and learning. So forgiving ourselves, learning from our past mistakes, learning from our past patterns. Just because a new love cycle is starting doesn't mean it's going to be different unless we are different. We have to show up and do things differently. If we always rush into, through the honeymoon phase of the relationship and rush into like serious commitment, like move in with people, and, then like 3 years later, like all crumbles, and it's because the initial phase was rushed. And even though it was mutual on both sides, you were both excited, it turned into a relationship that lasted 3 years, there wasn't enough initial work put in to make it something that they earned over a time period. You didn't build a solid foundation over time. It was like a structure that got thrown up overnight, and then it's like a collapsing hotel, right? Codes weren't kept, inspections were skipped. The infrastructure wasn't strong enough. So forgiving yourself for those patterns, but knowing that you need to do them differently in the future. Whatever it is that you need to forgive. Like say you're a person who has a hard time with fidelity, right? And you're beating yourself up over infidelity. And you want to give yourself another chance, but you don't feel like you deserve someone good. And so you're attracting people who are, still not in that high vibration. You have to forgive yourself. Also, we have to forgive others. Echoes of things that my ex has said to me have come up recently in my awareness, because that's still affecting my subconscious and it's giving me limiting beliefs, and it still affects my self-worth now. And it's up to me to unravel that and to heal it, right? He's going to have to pay the credit card interest on that spiritual mistake that he made. But it's still up to me to heal and to take ownership of that responsibility for it, and to free myself of the words that he said, not to believe that, not to let that determine my worth. He doesn't determine my worth. Source determines my worth. I determine my worth. And I don't look for outside validation to determine my worth, because when someone is abusive, they take it away from you, and you give them that power, and then you give them that lordship over you. So forgiving that person is taking your power back. It's not excusing them. It's not justifying them, but it's freeing you from feelings that are keeping you energetically contracted and not able to fully align or receive what you are ready for next. And then romantic feelings. So your feelings are real and worth exploring. So just knowing that your needs matter, that your feelings and desires are significant and valid, and they're worth exploring. And so, it's worth putting yourself out there, right? If you're feeling like, oh, I want a romantic relationship, then put an effort to do that. It's worth exploring. Don't give up before you've even started. Don't have that attitude like there's no good people left or whatever. It's valid. It's a valid need and a valid desire. So it's worth exploring. It's worth making an effort. It's worth reading relationship books, and watching videos that have, great relationship material, and learning about your attachment styles, and learning about codependency and patterns and things like that, so that you can get to the root of them. But maybe there's going to be someone coming into your life soon that it's going to be mutual. There's going to be, feeling stirring. There's a honeymoon ahead. But in order for this to really happen, you've got to free yourself from anybody that you're kind of hung up on still, or that you might be looking over your shoulder, holding a torch for, back burner people, fallback people. Don't be that fallback person. Don't be a back burner person. Don't have them. Just get rid of it all. Open yourself, free yourself for something real and truly aligned to come in, and then forgive the past and let it go. Don't let their echoes hover over you and put a cloud over your next opportunity. And then forgive those people and forgive yourself. As you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moment. All right. And then let's just get some motherly advice from Mary, Jesus's mother. see what she has to say to us. Integrity. I trust my ability to know what is true for me. So yeah, really aligning yourself. What's not aligned doesn't belong anymore. If it's not, like for instance, if you're trying to have a healthy, feel healthy and, get in shape, then you can't eat fast food all the time, right? So honoring your integrity. If you disagree with something, like for instance, I used to work in TV and film production, and I worked on some questionable reality television that I was like, I don't agree with this. I think it's shit. I think that this is making the world a worse place. I think it's exploitive. But they were still adults showing up for themselves, right? One show I would not work on was Toddlers and Tiaras. That is exploiting children who don't have a choice. And it's negative. And I had full integrity to be like, no, I don't care how broke I was at the time. I think that was back in the days when I would be seriously like at risk of being overdrawn in my account at any given day, always wondering if I was going to be able to make rent. And still, I would not work for Toddlers and Tiaras. So think about that in your life. If you don't pretend to be something that you're not. Don't pretend to go along with things you don't agree with. And if something is in your heart that you really believe in, then put your effort into it. Put your passion into it. Have integrity. Like if you're being called to do something and you feel like you have a calling, part of your integrity is like showing up for that authentic gift that only you have, right? People need that in you. Whatever it is. Maybe you're a comedian, right? Maybe you're a comedian and you don't think that it's significant enough. You don't think that's an important job to have. So you're just like, oh, whatever. I need to do something that's more, purposeful or whatever. But like you're going against your integrity because maybe you're the comedian that can say some things in a way that gets people's attention. It gets people thinking and they are able to have a breakthrough and an insight that they never would have seen before. There are so many comedians now that I watch their special, and there are so many poignant moments where they drop philosophical and spiritual gold and almost bring me to tears. And then in the next second, I'm laughing because of a dick joke. And so it's like, it's equally important. So having integrity, right? Following your truth and aligning with that. And knowing when your truth is bullshit, right? Maybe your truth is coming from your ego. And knowing that too, that's having integrity. It's having integrity to know when you're wrong and being able to change your mind. And having integrity, and being honest and being real and being who you truly are and not who you think everybody wants you to be, right? And sometimes that's telling people something they don't want to hear, right? You can't people please and have integrity. Even if you're being nice and giving people what they want, you're still not having integrity, right? So yeah. Okay. And I hear somebody out there going, but people pleasing makes me feel good. And it's like, but why does it make you feel good? Is it telling you that are you not worthy until you do something to make everyone happy and then you feel like they like you and so then that makes you happy? Or you're doing it because it gives you a sense of importance? Because then that's that taker consciousness too. It's not really doing the work for the sake of sharing. It's like doing the work for the self alone. All right, and one last word from Jesus. Jesus gets the last word. All right, watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. Don't give up. Pray that you will be strong when you are weary and you think that everything is pointless and nothing is ever going to work out and it's always just going to be one big tease. Keep going. Don't be tempted. Don't be tempted to lose your temper and pop off. Don't be tempted to get jealous and resentful. Don't be tempted to run your mouth and wag evil tongue and then shoot yourself in the foot and block yourself off from a blessing, right? Don't be tempted to go for that like warm body because you're lonely and isolated when the real person is just around the corner. Watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. All right, y'all. Get out there and pray like King David. who was not shy about telling it like it was to the Creator. He laid it all on the line. He let it all out. He said it all, you know. And my teacher, David, suggested trying to set a timer so that you pray out loud for like over 7 minutes, maybe 10 or even half an hour if you can. He's like, there's so much resistance that comes up against you. The opponent is trying to get you to stop praying for the first 7 minutes. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel awkward. You're not going to have anything to say, but just keep pushing through. Keep talking out loud. Keep spilling your guts and keep getting into that feeling state while you're doing it. And that's the real power. That gives you real power to connect with the Creator when you have an open heart that is crying out with real feeling and real emotion. And then use those words, speak out loud to the Creator, and set a timer and see how long you can pray out loud for, and see if you can make it past that 7-minute mark. All right, y'all, I am spent. I am a tired little baby, and I have hungies and sleepy times. And I'm gonna have a hot bath, and I'm gonna make spaghetti sauce from scratch. It's gonna be awesome, and I will see y'all later, alligators.